Please feel amazing. So I'm so glad that we're all here today and able to dive back in. And before I share the slides and then potentially, sometimes I lose a little bit of visibility. I'll just ask too whether in the chat or just vocally, I'm just curious, is there a primary tool that you all would like to use because of its if Gemini is the main tool that this group uses, uh focus in Gemini. If it's across the board, I'll do a little bit in everything. Um, as we talked about last week, a lot of the interface, the experience that you have when using the tool is relatively transferable. They're not exactly the same, but the general like layout and whatnot is similar. So it's certainly we with pace we can kind of review each of them to make sure no matter which tool you're using you know where to go and do anything we talk about today.
Well, I have kind of a question on those lines, Samantha, and I apologize again. My camera just isn't working. Like I'm
No.
here, I have it on. It doesn't show anything. I have to do something hard to make it work. I don't know what that is, but anyways, I my big concern with AI and my young adult sons used to laugh at me for this until they got into engineering in school. And then they were taught about the security of it and
Mhm.
lack thereof on the free versions. And so they went,
Salem?
oh, this is a problem. Um,
Salem.
Obviously, in companies that have to really watch something like that, there is an issue with cybersecurity and then basically all of the data that you load into the AI system, whichever one it be, it becomes public information. And if you're using, sensitive data, then that can be a problem. And I work with clients, so as a realtor, so I can't have like their data out there. I don't know. That's a weird thought, but I'm just really always concerned about that. So if you could speak to which one is better for that and what it means to have a closed AI system, and I think that means one you have to pay for. So that's my question for
Absolutely,
you.
we can I can show you all where to shut off where you share your data and then what you might be able to do to better protect how you leverage AI in terms of, any sort of risk that might be out there for it.
Perplexity seems to be a program that it guards your data pretty good.
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely.
true?
It certainly is a strong tool to use and has, a high a highly rated cybersecurity system behind it. Most of them do. It's just a matter to Kayla's point of knowing how to shut off what you're giving permission to the companies to be able to begin to leverage whether in their in how they train their models or in some sort of other way. So that's the one thing that you can turn off their accessibility to the data to train the models, which will put some of that protection in place. Um, I think it's a little, there's never going to be a scenario where there's absolutely no risk, just like, credit cards or someone could steal your wallet. There's always like some element of risk, but it's really mitigated as long as you're prioritizing how you're leveraging it in those ways Kayla mentioned. So we'll go over that. To your point, Scott, you're making sure that you're using not just like some Joe Schmo who built some tool that's now available, that you're using a tool like Perplexity, like the ones we'll go into that have cybersecurity at the foundation of how it's built. Um, and then I think just being as mindful as possible to not actively put sensitive materials in there. To be honest, I have put, I'm thinking of like some of the most sensitive things of what I've leveraged. I have put blood test results and things like that in um, the AI to help me understand, well, what does this deficit mean, or what does this deficit mean, or whatnot. However, I would never put a document that has, some medical documents might have my social security on it and things like that. I wouldn't be scared to put something in it that has certain specifics about me that, even if someone here attained my blood results, it's nothing really personally identifiable that you could do some sort of harm to me. Um, but if there was anything on the materials that, could give someone access to my banking or my credit score or my life in some regard, then I would, of course, be more mindful to that. So we can for sure touch on security and how to begin to put different levers in place so you're not giving access to your data so willingly. And then I think it's twofold. One, exactly to Scott's point, choosing tools that have cybersecurity as at the underpinning and at its center. And then two, just having awareness of your own habits and practices of what you're giving to any sort of machine. Because, you know, just like our banks, right? I think our banks have some of the most regulated security systems in place, both cybersecurity and physical security. And yet sometimes a theft can still happen. But it's a low risk, right? It's a risk that we live with. So. Okay, I am going to share my screen one moment. And these slides will be available. Um, Dana will send them out at some point later today or tomorrow, by Monday, I'm sure. Okay, here we go. Let me see. This one. All right, can you all see that?
Yeah.
Okay, one moment. Let me make it bigger. Let me make sure. Is it still in the sharing mode where
It went outside the
Oh,
it went out? Okay, one second. It's on a
it has small bit of screen, and then it has a big black box says Learn AI from scratch that's covering up everything.
sorry. Hold on
You
one
had
second.
it in presenter mode and then it flipped back.
Let me see. I'll just turn my second screen off if I need to. One second. So sorry, guys. Thank you for your patience. Oh, come in, little computer. All right, let me just do this real quick.
Oh, you just want the black box? Yeah, you can make it bigger.
No, I'm just gonna, my apologies, guys. I'm just gonna stop this real quick. And I'm going to go back to my little screen. And I'm gonna move everyone back to my main screen real quick. I appreciate your patience. Thank you so much. Come on, little computer. I'm always talking to it. But we will primarily be out of the deck anyway. Hopefully this time it works, and I'm going to start on a second slide. So let me just go back here one moment. Share. PowerPoint. PowerPoint. Yeah. Share. Share. Now, can you see that on a slide? And then tell me if it messes up again.
You can see, but the words are super, super tiny. You can't read.
It went into the like notes view again?
It looks okay.
No, it's in presenter view.
Okay, hold
No,
on. Let me
It's
let
in
me
presenter view.
see. Did that work?
now it's just super, super tiny, the whole thing. You see mostly
Okay.
black screen, and then like something, all I can see is there's 1, 2, 3, and some writing and some books.
All right. All right. I'm sorry, guys. Thank you. Hold on a second. Oh gosh. Okay. I am disconnecting from my other screen. Second. Come on, little computer.
I think you had it right. It's just that what I think Lynn was saying is that the printing on the slide was pretty small. That's all. So I think you had it right before you switched it.
I do too. I thought it was right.
Yeah, it was right. But what
It was
happened? Lynn was making a comment that the printing on the slide was small. That's all.
okay. Then let me. All right.
And how do you keep from whenever anybody talks at all, it just jumps off of the main screen and goes to that person's screen?
So sorry. I don't
Lynn, when we
totally.
get going, I'll do a spotlight.
Thank you.
Okay. So it might open again because I had it last in the other mode. It can now see, you should be able to see my PowerPoint, and I'm going back to slideshow. And
Yeah,
which
that
is this the right view or not the right view?
No. Can you
This is
swap your screens?
so I'm gonna so is this the right view?
That is, yes.
This is the right. Okay. So, and it's asking me if I want to share, and I'm saying continue to share, and you can still see it.
yeah, that's the right screen.
Okay. All right. That was, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. Can we just like take a break? All
Okay.
right. So anyway, this is and my apologies if it's a little small any of the font. These slides will be available to you, and to jump right in, this is just a quick review from last week. And again, like I said, the majority of our time today, we want to focus again in the tools. And one more comment on the speed. I can already hear it. I know I get a little like, oh my gosh, I just wasted 3 minutes and I start to move too fast. So just let me know once we get into the tools if that happens, but I'm going to try to be very mindful of that as well. So again, thank you all so much for coming back. As I talked about last week, there's really three levels of how AI is being leveraged right now in our basic tools of the Gemini, the Claude, the ChatGPT, the Copilot, things of that nature. And it's really because the models have converged. So previously, and in some cases still, like Scott makes a great point always about Perplexity is a very strong tool for research. That's one example. Canva is a great example for image generation and design, having AI now embedded within it, etc. So I mentioned these tools as examples of having very distinct models and use cases. But more broadly, the tools that we use in our day to day, the Claudes, the Geminis, etc., the models have converged. And while they do still have some differentiation, of course, in general, they're all headed in the same direction, and they can kind of do pretty much what each of them can do, right? So to an extent in the most basic service of our use cases. So with that, the best practice is to just pick one and go deep, and then begin to understand, how are you leveraging it with context, which we'll begin to talk about today, and then how the systems can begin to compound. And just the last comment I'll make about as you consider which tool you want to use, besides just what you're looking to get from it, the differentiation pieces is really really much just sort of a personal preference. So if you want to use, well, all of them can do image generation. If you're looking to do some higher end image generation of the fun memes or I don't know, cartoon sort of images, things like that, Gemini is a little bit stronger than the other two. When it comes to writing, Claude tends to be a little bit more professional. So, however you're using it in those regards, they can all meet those use cases, but your preference will help guide you in determining which one you want to dive into. So, perfect. How today is planned, right? I wanted to just use today to dive in and go back to those tools. And I'm so glad and appreciative of the feedback, because this way we can really go slow and hopefully, even feel free to take your time to open it alongside. our conversation and to actually work through them as well. If you would like, I welcome any examples, and as we talk about the use cases, I'll ask for that more specifically. But my point is going to be examples of, hey, this is a real PDF that I need help understanding, or hey, this is a picture of my niece or nephew. Can you help me turn it into something fun for, 4th of July or whatever? So if you would like to share anything that we can use in our live use cases, I welcome that. If not, I can certainly grab things along the way. And that's the bulk of the conversation today. So does that sound good, hopefully, to everybody? Amazing. So these are certainly not all the use cases, but these are some of the top use cases, right? The most, I would say the foundational use cases as AI and ChatGPT initially, being one of the first tools became available, I think in 2023, so about 3 years ago. These were some of the not strongest use cases at that time, I would say, but they were the first things that people really wanted help to do with AI. And so these are kind of foundational use cases that people leverage these different tools with on their day to day. And then, so just to give you the 10-second snippet on each one, for summarize and digest, it's really about knowing that when you have a vast document, especially, I didn't know exactly the details of a scholarship question that came in, but if you have a vast document that's even 5, 10, some of these documents are right, I don't know, 20, 30 pages. Instead of having to read the whole thing, although, maybe you might need to in general, but maybe, you need some information very quickly. So instead of having to wait to have all the information till you read the whole thing, you can upload the document into your preferred AI tool and have a conversation with it to get whatever takeaway information you might need. So one, you can ask it for things like to summarize the document. You could also ask it for, I don't know, say it's like a lease agreement for renting a house. Ask it to call out anything problematic, right? Anything that's maybe not specific. Also, you could ask it, this is the lease agreement. Can you summarize specifically all the fees? So maybe beyond rent, if there's pet fees or any other fees. So that is summarize and digest. Write and polish is another very common use case. And so when you think about something like, I don't know, an email, sometimes I feel like an email should be like 5 minutes to write, and then suddenly you spent an hour on it. So being able to work with AI to draft an email in minutes and just help get your point across very clearly and concisely. It can also be leveraged for things like essays, applications, etc. Of course, you do want to be mindful though that something like an essay that you're publishing under your name, making sure that that it truly is your work. This is one of those things, especially with they talk about with students and homework, making sure that plagiarism isn't involved. I think there's an expectation now that AI typically does help, but you're able to sort of have certain tools review it and note if it's 99% pure AI or if maybe AI just polished it up, right? And kind of supported you in that way. Um, Organizing and remembering. So you can hand AI just a scattered mess. You can even actually, I have a good or bad habit of doing handwritten notes still. So sometimes when I need it just a little bit more organized and polished, I will just snap a picture and ask AI to, it can actually do it two ways. I can ask it to regenerate the image so it's nice and clean, but still looking handwritten if for whatever reason I might need to send it to somebody. Or two, I could ask it to just capture everything that's on the page and type it up into new notes for me.
Wait, can I just clarify what you're
Please.
saying there? I'm a little confused. Are you saying that you can somehow give it like your handwritten or post-it notes and then in some way, and then it's gonna or organize them?
Yeah, yeah. You can't, I'll say this is like to an extent. If you have, just thinking to your comment about post-its, if you have post-its everywhere, I mean, you can try it. You can for sure try it. I think that would be a little bit of a challenge for the AI tool. I mean, I have done that. If you know, I have facilitated workshops where we've done post-it like sticky note things on the board, and then I take the picture. And AI certainly like makes it less time consuming for me to have to kind of capture all that into something. It hasn't been able to produce sort of like the equivalent notes exactly, I would say. But for instance, like right now, you know, I've taken some notes about the questions you all have had. This like one page of like scribbled notes, as long as it's legible enough, I would say, right? Because if someone has doctor handwriting, I don't know. I'm sure AI has a extent that they can't, you know, read chicken, like the chicken type scratch that doctors sometimes write, right? But this, where it's like scribbles, but it's legible to an average person. I could certainly take a picture of this and ask AI to summarize it, clean it up, etc. So we can see if we can do that as an exercise too. Although I will, well. I guess that'd be okay. I was gonna say you might. I just thinking about how I personally do that. I use the app on my phone. However, if you prefer to use it on your computer or some other way, you would just have to take the picture and then, you know, email it to yourself and upload it that way.
That would be great if you could show us an example of that with like some handwritten notes. Doesn't have to be post-it, but how to step by
Yeah,
step do that thing.
absolutely. Um, so just continuing and be mindful. Okay. So we just explain and understand. So, I think this, you know what, this goes back to like that blood work example, right? Like I'm not someone who's so medically inclined or a legal document, you know, those are things that I personally struggle with. So anytime you know, there might be a contract I have to sign or I get results for something that I don't know what the language means. Again, keeping in mind, right, that we don't want to upload something with any personally identifiable information that could come back to hurt you. If you feel comfortable, then you could upload whatever document it is and ask to engage with it just in plain English and ask what these things mean. What do you need to be, if anything, concerned about, or is this a standard document, etc. Um, excuse me. Plan and decide is a great use case for things like a trip, a party, anything that you might have a ton of different options on, and you just need to think through what you're trying to do. I feel like this is probably a use case that I live in because it's really using AI as a thought partner and a collaborator. I like to think about it. Actually, I think about it even when I plan these sort of workshop type sessions or face-to-face sessions or coaching and things like that. I will talk about AI in terms of just my ideas and vision and things like that. And sort of ask it to help me recognize patterns, ask me to ideate on how I might translate that idea, etc. So a lot of unique and interesting areas to just consider how it might be able to help you think in that mindset. Um, Research and compare. I know Scott's mentioned Perplexity. That's another great tool to use for researching. And in general, you can use these tools to not only deliver information on what is out there in terms of like answering your questions. I'm thinking of maybe like a car. Maybe you want to go car shopping and you want to know what the safest vehicle is and ask it for the details on that vehicle. But then you can also ask it to begin to compare it to other vendors and even go so far beyond the solution, but ask it like, what's policy of returns and how has maybe Ford reacted in certain regards or something. So as you think about like what's important to you for one question, you can then begin to ask it to compare it to biggest competitors or just different options that are related to that.
Can you give an example what you mean by recognize patterns? Ask it to recognize patterns. I don't know what you mean by that.
Yeah, so I am so what comes to mind for me how I think how I am speaking to it from my experience is an example is I'm trying to think what the exact something was, but I had recently watched this TED Talk about human interaction and it was I'm blanking on the exact terminology she used, but this expert was speaking about sort of like social capital and like introverts and extroverts and kind of how you establish your social circles. And so I found it really interesting because I was considering, I wonder how that translates to such a technology driven world. And I just worked and asked AI to help me. We had a whole like it was like a whole dialogue, but we get basically identifying patterns of how people are relying on AI technology um, for certain social needs now. If you're familiar, like some people, I don't, there are specific tools that are AI based for like therapy or fitness or things like that. I'm not saying anything like I'm not advocating or not advocating for those, but people have also been leveraging just a general AI tool like a chat GPT to engage with in those ways. So I was asking it for understanding societal patterns of what it's seeing and how those patterns of people interacting with the technology can translate to what this woman was talking about as societal capital. So I know I'm not explaining it as eloquently, but I'm trying to think of one more. I feel like I just had a thought for patterns. But you could basically give it anything. Maybe if I'm this I'm making up, but I'm thinking like if sometimes I struggle sometimes a little bit with a little bit of a insomnia. So I have like a little AI diary that I talk about, did I take a melatonin or did I take these vitamins that day or whatnot? And then I ask it, at the end of the week or every 2 weeks or so, I'll just ask it, based on what I shared, what are the patterns? And I'll start to notice, while a melatonin can help me get more rest, that I update the AI and I'd say, hey, I actually slept 7 hours that day. The next day I felt, super groggy and less accomplished. So you can give it these different informations and whatnot. Yeah. I know I rambled on there a little bit. Hopefully some of that was clear and maybe I'll keep in mind patterns and hopefully we can better illustrate it as well.
Samantha, I had a good experience recently with AI. I started for some reason waking up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m., like wide awake. And so an AI ChatGPT put together a sleep training schedule like you would for a
Wow.
baby, and it worked. Like it's
Aw,
all about like avoiding caffeine and da da da. And yeah, I put together a sleep training schedule.
I love it.
And I also think people sometimes don't put things in AI when they're going good. Like if you had a good meeting or something, you can put
Hmm.
your meeting notes in to find out some insight on that as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. So two more and then we'll dive right in. Um, okay, where am I? I think create just for reference. Um, there's a lot that you can create with. If you were on last time, I would say more professionally, maybe you began to see that I did a quick a quick flyer as if I was participating in the fun run that BIAAZ did in March. We can also create the images, which we can do around. And I would say you can also even create websites now. I'm actually in the process of building a website for a little bit of a personal project, and there's just so many interesting things that you can generate beyond what it says here: images, slides, newsletters, simple tools. There's a lot more that you can also do now. um, and um, we won't go into it today, but I'll say there's this whole concept again of vibe coding, which if you ever wanted to build out a tool or you have an idea for something, you might want to explore something like Replit. That's Replit, and I can send these to you, or Lovable, Lovable, which are two popular tools to vibe code. And those are more specifically though if you have like a product idea or something that you'd want to explore, which they have. I think they have at least free trials, if not free tiers, so it could be worth it to explore. I think it's always fun to try a new tool. And then finally, personal and family life, because there's always room to bring it in and kind of help you with your day to day, whether it's homework help or dinners. Sometimes, when I'm just super hungry, but I feel like, oh my gosh, there's nothing to eat. What am I going to eat? I'll let the AI know, like, hey, um, what could I make with, I don't know, this. I'll tell it like I have these vegetables, this can of beans, and whatever. What recipes does this translate well to? And it'll help me a little bit. Oh, that's kind of like a pattern too. It begins to understand things. So there are a few more slides for reference, but I'm just gonna pause and stop sharing because I want to dive into the actual tools with you all. Let me see, exit. Yeah. Pop this back up. Here we go. Okay. And I see I have a few comments in the chat. I'm just checking any comments from anyone on, what's top of mind for you all based on what we talked about. And I got um the hopefully we can quickly do the picture notes. I know image, I know attaching things. Oh, don't let me forget security. Uh,
And Reggie's asking, how many AI venues are there and what are they for?
and forgive me, Reggie, when you say venues, do you mean, is that tools?
I don't know the proper verbiage. I wanted to call them subscriptions, but what do you actually call the AI? Like the things that you just showed, some of those are just fantastic. When I get a contract, I had to buy an air conditioner. I had to get it on a payment plan. If I don't pay it off by a certain time, I'm going to have interest. Some of these things, there's so many pages of it, I don't understand it. Sometimes even when I just watch the news, I get
Mhm.
confused by the subject matter. But I like the way you were breaking it up, like for number 7 as a more creative thing. But what is the right word for AI venues or subscriptions, or what is the right terminology, the right word?
So I want to say it would just be referred to as a tool.
Tool.
To your point though, within a tool, there could be multiple tools. So maybe it's like a toolkit. Because, for example, Claude, where most people just Claude is the tool. Most people would live in Claude Chat, but then there's also Claude Cowork and Claude Code.
Holy
And the same
smokes.
with ChatGPT. There's ChatGPT, but then you could use ChatGPT with Codex,
Oh,
or there's different GPTs in general. So I think tool. I'm trying to think. Otherwise, it's like Anthropic is the company that Claude is creates Claude. So I think tool. To your point though, I feel like it's Pokemon. There are thousands. It's like you got it. Like there's a very real tool overwhelm or and fatigue. So that's why I do think it's worth it and it's fun when you want to say like, oh, once a week or something, I'm gonna explore a specific tool just to, see what's going on. Although be careful, right? You still, no matter what, this is where you could get maybe in a little bit of risk that if you are trying out a tool that is a little bit newer and less leveraged and vetted out, you want to make sure that it still has the same security functions and that underpinning of cybersecurity. Um, but it's fun to explore different tools. They all sort of have free trials, if not free tiers. But the majority of your time maybe spend in investing in the most primary one that you feel comfortable with.
I see that the mall, the Apple store is offering Apple AI, so I am signed up to go to
Yeah.
classes. If I wanted, I trying to picture it like as a phone book of AI, old school, where they used to actually make phone books and everything would be in there. So if I went to Siri and I said, Siri, is there an AI tool to help me understand this contract? She would probably give me some options of companies that could put me in the right direction to learn how to do this? Or am I kind of on the right track?
So So you want to use Siri to direct you to some AI tools that
Correct.
would be the most relevant.
Is that kind of how I want to start if I'm on my own, sitting here at Carrie? I could call you at 3 o'clock in the morning because I'm still up when the birds are singing. This morning I was up at 4:20 and trying to go back to sleep. But is that kind of my best bet to have her help me to find it since I don't? I would love to just have a private tutor attached to my side all the time to help me navigate through life because it's befuddling.
Yeah, I think, what Siri is getting more and more advanced. So
Oh,
initially there were some limitations there, but I do think that if you asked it, for the strongest tools to do whatever use case you were trying to do, that she would answer. Otherwise, any of the tools that we talk about today for sure as well. I would, maybe pick one and download it and have it as a thought partner in that regard as a safety. But she is, I mean, both Siri and I have to say I don't want her to wake Alexa. If I
okay.
say it too loud, I'll wake her up. They also have just been getting more and more advanced where there was much more limitation initially in terms of what it could produce and is functioning.
Thank you very much.
So
Thank you.
is there one that is, because you don't need multiple paid subscriptions, so you should probably try it out and then pick one and
Yeah,
stick with it.
I wouldn't, yeah, I would
Pick
I
one
would
and
play
stick with it.
around. I'll start these first. Like everything I put in. So last time I initially tried to do it like I didn't sign up. This time I have them all signed up, but I made like a new email, so I have it on as free versions. So I'll share my screen. One moment. Share. Okay. So you should be able now to see my three tools. Yes? Let me just hold on one moment. Come on, little. I'm just trying to find the chat again because I wanted to. I know there were some numbers in there. All right, I got it. Okay, so the picture, the 3 to 5, 3 to 5. Okay, and let me just. I've got my notes, my deck up here still. Organize and remember. Up, perfect. So that's 3 and 5. Plan and decide. Perfect. Okay, so I think the first thing I'll do though is, all right, before I even start, I'm just going to minimize this real quick. I want to address the security issue and just note, so I am right now in the free tier, right? And I want to just call out if you're in ChatGPT, and again, even if you don't use ChatGPT, if I say anything, um, sorry, this keeps, come on. There we go. Even if you don't, if you prefer a different tool, um, right, I'm just showing Claude now. You'll see it's a different tool. It absolutely has some different strong points, right? They can all pretty much do the same thing, but they have different vibes, different styles in their production, etc. But the user experience, this on the side, this little taskbar, the settings down here, the way it's framed here. Here again is ChatGPT. Here is Gemini. They're all very similar in the overall user experience. And I call that out just in case I say something in one of them and maybe, I don't immediately say it in the other. You can kind of uh, know that here is new chat. You can know that, hey, this is going to have a plus right here on the left. For this is Gemini, ChatGPT plus right here on the left, and Claude plus right here on the left. I just call that out because we'll do it in a moment, but this is like how you add the files, etc. And so again, I bring that up as I talk about security. So the first step for security is when you sign up, down here on the left is your name, no matter which of the aspects. And forgive me because there's going to be a little bit different in each of them, but you'll go into settings. I want to say it's privacy. One, you'll be able to see here at the top, right, how they protect it, how they use it if you want to better understand it in detail. But here we go, preferences specifically. Allow Claude to use the location metadata to improve the experience. Do I want them to know where I am? No. So I toggle that off. To be honest, it's up to you in those regards. But this one especially help improve our AI models. This is where do you want them to have the data to be able to access and leverage in their AI models in the training? I will note as you think about these things, there's absolutely still an expectation of security. Even if you didn't toggle these off, that they have an obligation, like legal obligations to protecting your data. But they're saying that they might use it in a way that, they're going to improve the overall experience. But the expectation is that all of that would still remain encrypted. It's not like they should be making your data accessible to anybody who's outside of these teams that would be working with it to do it in that regard. So you toggle that off too. And then just a side note, there was a question that came in around saving the chats and things like that. We'll hopefully address it as we go into some of these use cases. But I just want to know as you have a chat, as you have information here, I think there was something specifically around maybe leveraging AI for medical understanding those details in language and AI not always saving the data. So in the same area of privacy, you have this option to export data. And when you're in here, see, this is a free program, and I don't have any saved conversations. But if I had multiple conversations, I would have the option to come in here, and it would, there would be these different conversations, and I could select whichever one I wanted and export it. Or I could save all of them, right? I could do it however I want it. But you always have that option to download your data in the
Okay, so
conversation
that
format.
was me, and so I'm just want to ask to understand. So, like for conversations, if and I think you say it's all under privacy, but where would it export? Can you like make it into a PDF or
Yes.
how
So
what
I
does
don't
that
think
look like once you choose that?
let me see, because I don't have any conversations, it might not produce anything. But so I just selected it. It said export started. Again, I don't have any conversation in here right now, so I'm not sure it's going to produce anything. But if it does, it'll pop up and it will appear in downloads. So it would appear um, in your download file if on your computer. So if you went to like Control F, typically for a computer, or if you're on a tablet, I'm trying to think how it might pop up, but maybe in the top right of your tablet screen, there might be like one of those little like arrows that's pointing down. Yeah, like here we go,
Would it be like a
like this.
PDF then?
Yes. It should produce it unless you say otherwise as a PDF.
And then would it, so if you did that, let's say you had a conversation, you go, I want to have this be downloaded, and then you're adding to the conversation, would it add to the same one or keep making a different one for each time? Or how would that be organized then?
Well, you could also, so here, let me
Does
so
that make sense
say
what I'm asking?
I think so. So one, so hold on a moment. Move this.
Because this is a key thing for me. I have so much trouble with trying to cut and paste or put some into one PDF, or because
Mhm.
and then it will like no longer function where I can't get that data anymore, or yeah, but just it's sort of like an ongoing thing, or you have a session and then go, okay, well, save this without it turning into, because one time I was trying to cut and paste and luckily I looked at my PDF before I went to print it, and it said 1,300 pages.
Yes.
Oh.
Like, okay,
Oh my
no,
God.
you know,
So
so
I think two things. One, so I just started like a conversation about nothing, but two things. One, when you have this here, and so again, this is in any of them, just for reference, right? So in ChatGPT and in Claude, this is called projects. In Gemini, it's called a gem. But so say I have this conversation and I'm leaving it, and I know I'm going to come back to it several times. One, I can rename it to be um, I'm just going to call it important conversation.
and is
But you
this the
can
same
call it.
in Gemini or no?
It would to rename it. It would be the same. You would click the little. It might be horizontal instead of vertical, but these dots, and just click it to rename it. The other thing you could do is in Claude and ChatGPT, it's called a project. In Gemini, it's called a gem. You would add it to the project. Oh, forgive me, I have to start one. So I am starting a project, and this is so I want to go slower. So on the left, you would see project, ChatGPT project, Gemini gem, and you would
So
click
and
it.
and none of this. So I'm doing like Google AI, which is powered by Gemini, but I've never seen any of this. Like on Claude, you have all these choices on the left that you're choosing from, and I've never seen any of that. How would I get to that? Or do I just need to start all over and go directly to Gemini and not the Google AI that's so conveniently there for me?
Is that a
What?
paid version where you get all that stuff on the side?
Yeah, do I
No,
have to pay for
these are
this?
all free versions. These are all the free basic versions. Um,
But I have to, because now I see Gemini, but I have to like go directly to somehow get to Gemini versus the
what are
AI
you
app. Okay, like in the Google
in?
bar, and it has like a magnifying glass, and you click on that, and then that's AI. And then it has the three lines where you can see what your history is and pick the conversation that you were having. That's the limit of what I know so far. But it has
Yes.
never had anything like on the left for any of these choices or anything like that. So that's what I really
Yeah.
need to understand from you. Or
So
if I have to start all over and go to an app and go, okay, and now I need an app Gemini to do this.
yes. Yes. So I hear, so you at the underpinning are using Gemini, right? It's one in the same.
Uh-huh.
Gemini is embedded in all of the Google suite of tools, right? So
Sure.
that's where it is. But if you begin to leverage it in its home base, I guess you would call it, it's in this way, all of that information will feed into here. And this I would say is um like the headquarters of the Google AI, right? So
So
as
how
you
do I access the headquarters? Because
so
that
if
I hear
you
what
if
you're saying, but I don't know how to get any farther than the
yeah.
Google search bar.
Yeah. So if you just go like if you search Gemini, it should and click on it, the top one, it should open up. Otherwise it looks like it's gemini.google.com. Um and then everything will begin to feed into here so that then as you know it's not it'll there's a little bit of like integration that needs to take place, but then it'll begin to connect if you want it to. It could connect to your email, your calendar, all, your search, of course, already. Like, so all of it is begins to sync up into this like headquarters, for lack of a better.
I just want the conversations to somehow connect where I can do these things like export it or save it and not have Google AI keep going, oh, something went wrong, response not generated, and then you lose the whole thing and you have to start all over.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would begin to go into here so that it saves it. And then so here as you go into these, so these are called the gems. And this is where I don't have any chats in here yet to save this, but I could you see group the chats together. And it looks like whatever you have saved, you can even begin to upload here. So you would just to go back for a moment
So
here.
how do I get to this Gemini? How
And
do I get, what's
and
that step one?
and Lynn and Samantha too, if we need to, Lynn, we can come into you can come into the office and we can get Samantha on Zoom and Will and I can help you with this as well. And I can, if
Oh,
you want to stay after, I can show you how on ChatGPT I do it. I don't know if that would be helpful.
Yeah.
okay, like set
But
an appointment or something? Okay.
and I think, Lynn, maybe instead of, just right for time so we can jump into some of these use cases too, I would give
Mhm.
you a challenge of just if you search Google, like if I here one moment, I keep my screen keeps getting a little bit lost. If I go to Google and then I just search Gemini, it's this top one. So if you search it and click on that and then maybe open up a profile if you need to, um, this way when we have a deeper conversation, you'll be ready for it.
Okay, thank you.
No, of course. Okay, so um, let me just ask, was the security piece clarified of how you click on the name? So we did it for Claude. Now we'll do it here real quick. You click on what am I doing? Oh, settings. I'm forgetting for my you click on your settings.
Safety?
Thank you. I'm like, it's usually privacy, this one.
Okay.
I might have turned it off already. General, am I here? Storage, data controls, data controls. Okay. Location. So here I would turn it off. Oh, I already did it. I had already blocked. Improve the model for everyone. So just a reminder. So it's like slight changes in verbiage. Claude was privacy. This one, it's under data controls. improve the model for everyone, and you toggle it off. And the same thing in Gemini. Any comments or questions around that? Okay, so we talked about that. We talked about saving, and then we were going to get into some quick use cases. Let me just go back to the chat and see which ones were top of mind again. One moment. Forgive me. I lost the chat somewhere. I don't know if anyone sees it and might know. Oh, I found it. I found it. Chat. Here we go. Okay, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. Summarize and digest number one. Okay. So for number one, all right, for number one, summarizing. Just for sake of time, I guess I'm just gonna grab something. So in general, just to explain, I had prepped a few things that could just overall be with be leveraged in any of these demos, just so I had, something ready to go. So I'm just gonna copy a fake email, or I got a chat here, a fake chat. So that's where I'm getting this material, that I have it in a text file. And I'm going to go into ChatGPT, and here I'm going to paste this fake chat. And I already put a prompt in. So you'll see here, I'm asking chat to summarize this below text message for the perspective of just 3 key takeaways, and then anything I need to follow up on. And I asked it to keep it under 150 words. So this could be you pasting in a email. This could be you doing notes from someone that maybe sent you something. This could also be attaching a PDF. And for that, you would just do a plus button, which is at the bottom, and attach it from any of these aspects. It could even be, sometimes I use this for articles. Like, here's an article. Can you, give me the synopsis? So as I enter this, it'll begin to give me the takeaways, right? So again, this came from just, I had pulled something that I had that was like sort of lengthy to use as an example, and then prompted it in this way. So you give it the information, and then you just ask it to summarize, and then based on that, you can continue the dialogue. And then you can see here too that the AI even begins to call out certain open-ended questions, right? So in this chat, there were open-ended questions that needed to be addressed. So it can help ensure that you're not missing anything.
Can it do the same thing with a longer conversation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it can be any really anything. I think for the free version, there is some sort of limitation on the document size, but to be honest, I don't know what that is. I would imagine it's fairly large though, unless you're, probably at no 1,300 page documents, but like certain document sizes, I'm sure is okay. I'm just thinking too, maybe I'll just here. Well, this might have a paid thing. This has a paywall. So I'm just looking for something that doesn't have a paywall. So here I'm just copying the link of this article and I'm going back to this chat. I could put it right here if I wanted to, or if it's, something different, it's a different topic. I'm going to start new and I'm just going to ask it to summarize this article. It's taking a minute. There we go. So I didn't read this article at all, as you saw. It's searching the web. And here are the key takeaways, right? And it, you know, is giving you some more information down here. Excuse me. And then if it was a contract or something you had questions on, you could begin to clarify some details on that. I don't know if Mark is still on. Mark's still on too. So Mark, I'll just call out another thing. If you wanted it to do research without even getting an article or getting some information to your question about the natural impacts that AI is having, you could even begin to ask it about that. There's you don't even have to write as nicely as I'm writing, but I'm just going to write. There's a lot of news that AI data centers are negatively impacting our natural resources. What does this mean? What are, the patterns you're seeing in technology use or something like that? So you can begin to have a conversation with it around an issue that's, a challenging issue, but to better understand it and, better communicate it, can be able to be better, communicate better around it. So this could also, that we did AI in this case, but, if you're going to an event around a certain topic that's especially complex, you could also ask it to help you prepare in that regard. So this is some of the insights it's sharing around that. Okay. Any questions on this piece of AI and using it to summarize? All right, let's move on to another one. Organize and remember. Okay, let me see. I'm using my phone real quick. I'm going to take a picture of my notes and we're going to see if this can quickly work. I'm going to take just a snapshot of these notes.
How are you taking a snapshot of notes?
I used my phone just for ease, and now I'm going to send it to myself on the computer though, so that I can upload it with my screen share this way. And
So you
I'm
did a
not,
screen, you did a screenshot, or you took a photo, or what are you saying?
I took a photo. I took a photo with my phone. We're gonna see, just don't judge me if it doesn't, if I have an issue with it, because this one's a little fickle sometimes. This is visual inspection is the term that the technology can see the handwriting and things like that, instead of, a typical text of, zero ones and all of that. So 1 second, I'm just getting the photo down real quick.
And can you show us, because that was something where that was one of my questions, was that it's like how it was saying that I could not upload an image. So if I send an image to my email, then how do I upload it where it becomes something I can put into AI?
Exactly. So, in fact, to be honest with you, I'm screenshotting it just because it came in a little blurry. I'm going to exit that. And all right, I'm gonna new chat real quick. All right, so don't judge all my tabs when you see everything, guys. So one right here, the plus sign right here, add files. And again, any of the tools, same experience. It's always going to be to the left, maybe a little lower, a little upper, but it's going to be some sort of plus sign. And I'm clicking on it. I'm adding photos and files. And what I just did, I know one for one comment, you can upload anything, right? Like this is a video, these are PDFs, etc. You just need to know where it is. So I'm going to my desktop because I know I just took a screenshot of my picture of some notes, and I'm going to open it, and we are going to see how it goes. And I'm going to ask it to um, type out these notes and organize. It might, they're scribbles. So, you see they're kind of scribbles. So I don't know if it'll totally Oh, yeah. Okay. So I will say to the best of its ability, because like obviously I know that when I wrote down Gemini, that there were questions in my mind. I know, okay, there's questions around storage. There's general questions around how do you access it within the system, but I didn't write everything down. So it's gonna do the notes to the best of its ability. We just have to keep in mind that what's in my mind or what's in any user's mind is not always exactly on paper, right? So, but here it pulled out what I had. So any notes and scribbles. And in terms of it also made a to-do list. In terms of the post-it notes again, uh, I would I would say to try it. I mean, I think it would take seconds to try it. I would put as organized as possible. I would lay out a few, take a photo, put it up there, and then you might just have to work with it. So, from here, if there were, I'm just trying to think of a quick idea. Add in instructions on how you turn off data privacy, or how you turn off data use for training in all AI models. Like, so you can add your commentary to say, hey, this is good, but we need to add this information, right? So improve the model for everyone off, right? So this is, and then add it this perspective in. Oh, add it for each of them too, for Gemini and for Microsoft Copilot, for Claude. Oh, it kept going. How funny. Yeah. So it did a handful of them. Any comments or questions around this use case? Okay. Um, any use cases? I know there were a few that were also called out. So far we did organize and remember, we did summarize. Um, I think was there interest in the planning one or
Well,
creating?
like how to create a symptoms diary or how to keep in one place.
Can you clarify a symptoms diary?
Well, one of you mentioned something about, oh, well, you wrote down like something about just your ongoing symptoms, or like your sleep
Ah,
diary or something along that line,
yes. Okay.
to where
So,
then you could download it and add to whatever it downloaded without having
mm-hmm.
like, oh, a different PDF for each day where you go, oh my
Yeah.
God.
So I think the best way would be, again, projects. So I'm going to do a project here real quick. One
And
moment.
can you do a project in Gemini or just in Chat
You
GPT?
can. A Gemini project would be it's a gem, but I guess it says notebooks. Here, come on, little computer. So I'm gonna just call this sleep diary. So this is under notebooks, but they're referred to as gems. I don't know what Google has the terminology differently elsewhere. Um, Help me track, and then you could just begin to engage with it. So one, you could help me track my sleep. Two, in the bigger project piece of this. So see here, one, I just went back to here because now my chat is saved here. So anytime you use this notebook and you can go to this notebook and have talk specific to whatever topic it is that you saved. So this way, one, it's beginning to save all of the relevant chats in one area. And then going back to the pattern question, you can begin to ask it to help you identify, where the positive sleep habits are happening or the negative sleep habits are happening, etc. Does that make sense? And any existing materials that you have, you can also, again, just one, upload file or upload from any of your pieces here from Drive if you have it in Google Drive already. And then it'll help you get started that way.
And then is that something that it'll all stay like here you have it under sleep diary, so you could then it would keep it all in one place, but then if you ask it to summarize, then do you then need to ask it to like export it to something, or how can you come back to it later and go, what
So
I'm guessing is it would show all your input and then show a summary, and then if you came back later and added more input, that summary might get lost somewhere, or if you can like have it download into, well, here's a file that's going to be just my ongoing summaries, like ask it to date a summary and then somehow save it, but be able to come back and save a second, third, or fourth summary in the same PDF versus 10 PDFs that get too much.
I think I hear what you're saying. So to illustrate, one, I began a totally separate, like, let's have a conversation here. So anytime you do a new chat, it'll pop up here. But when you want to do a chat specific to the topic that whatever it is that you want to group together, then I would go to my sleep diary chat and it saved the first one here. And then anytime I want to start a new one, I would start it here. And to your point about the summaries saving, I think twofold. Um, Typically, I think when you ask it for a PDF, right? When you ask it to summarize, um, like summarize these results in a PDF, you'll have that one PDF. But as you go back to having new chats with it, it'll it'll begin to you know leverage its past experience and memory. So you may have more than one PDF, but as the PDFs, as you request summaries, it'll leverage the memories that it has from the conversations.
So if I ask it to create a PDF, then what would be the step where I then could somehow get that into a PDF that's on my computer versus just in somewhere embedded in the
Yeah.
sleep diary?
So I just asked it on this one, even though, keep in mind that, this isn't like I'm sure this would have been after a longer conversation, but I asked it, based on that one interaction to summarize into a PDF, and then I would just open it, right? And I would, for my computer, it's this little one, I would just download it.
Oh,
Right.
I see where that, yeah. So would that do the same thing in Gemini? Because that I visually see that now where it made here's your PDF and then let
Yeah.
you open it.
That
Oh,
is
that's the
Exactly.
first time
Gemini.
I've seen that. That kind of makes more sense now. Okay,
Yeah, and
thank
this is
you.
exactly, this is Gemini. So you just open it and then download it.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
of course, and then just, continue to save it in your single notebook slash gem, right? And so this way it has the memory of all the information you had.
Yeah, it's a hard thing with Perplexity. It's hard to download stuff.
Yeah. So I
Or
know,
I don't know if I'm just not knowing how to do it, or if it's just a program that's the way it is.
um, I'll go into it before our call on Monday. I think it should be pretty similar, but I mostly, to be honest, I use Perplexity when I'm doing like deeper research. So it's interesting that you use it so like on a day to day. Um anyway, I know we're right around time. We do have a few extra minutes. If there's any other pressing ones, um otherwise, I'll just call out too if you're looking for some fun ones, right? In general, like for all of these, and I'll click on them all in a moment. As you begin to explore your tools, which I think that's the biggest thing. If you're not already leveraging a tool, let me go back to Google real quick. Okay, so no, this was the news article. So one, I Googled Gemini, it's the top choice, right? Two, I Googled ChatGPT. And it's the no, it's this one. Just actually don't let me lie to you. It's this one. Look for this little flowery icon. Bring ideas to life, chatgpt.com. And then finally, Claude. It's this one. It's Claude.ai. Meet your thinking partner. And then Scott's favorite, Perplexity, right? Everything right there. Um, your task, should you choose to do it, is just to begin playing with them, right? Begin engaging and leveraging them. And what I was going to say, if you choose Gemini, it has all of these fun little like image creations that you can do. It has like a library of it didn't pop up immediately, but it has a library of different use cases you can explore. The same thing with ChatGPT as it goes over in a second. Oh, here it is. No, I'm already in it. The same thing, it'll show you different like apps that you can engage with. Not everything is accessible with the free version, but you can begin to explore, and of course with Claude as well. So let me stop sharing and come back to our big screen. Um, the deck and the tools we talked about and this little recording will be accessible. Let's give the team, I'm sure, a little bit of time on the weekend. So if not today, I'm certainly sure you'll receive everything by Monday. And we have another call together on Monday. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to share. And I would even invite you to share them prior. Um, to be honest, I prep with a vision, but I try to remain as flexible as possible. So if if there's certain topics or you want to just continue in tool use or do something specific on Monday, as long as Carrie and Dana don't mind, I'm happy to be flexible to focus wherever the time is the most sense for all of you. Because I want to make sure that hopefully it's bringing some value to your day to day.
Thank you
Thank you.
so
And can
much.
I share something really valuable that I learned from AI?
Please.
Okay, so when I was trying to figure out travel information, And then ultimately it said, oh, American Airlines has this flight that would work. And then we spent hours constructing that. And then when I went to book it, it didn't exist. AI said, oh, I hallucinated. So I asked it more questions about how to not have that. And what it said was that a lot of the time AI's knowledge stops at the point where it, quote, finished its training.
Yeah.
And so what I need to now do is ask AI to search live info.
Yes.
So in
Yes.
in my inquiry with things like that, to make sure to say search live info so that it's not something that's potentially outdated or inaccurate. So that was really important for me and maybe somebody else.
No, thank you for sharing. Absolutely. Yeah. AI can 1,000% make mistakes. So take whatever you're gathering from it, especially in terms of like output, that it's providing information around something that's active, like a flight or some sort of like purchase or anything like that. Any sort of like facts, I would even say like things about like breaking news, like things like that, with a grain of salt, because it could certainly make mistakes. But it's also, the more if you're using it in terms of you're giving it insights and then generating something from it, it's pretty solid. But I think no matter what, right? They say human in the loop. So don't just trust it 100%. What do they I read
Trust but
something
verify.
recently. It's like um AI is not going to be held responsible. You are. Like that was the gist of it, of what I had recently read. So,
The other thing it said was to put something specific into quotations.
that's a
or
great tip
or
too.
or it used another word where it was like the little triangle and then the other triangle or arrow, which I didn't understand, but it said quotations. But that yeah, same with purchases, to say, search live. That was the
Mhm.
word it told me to ask it.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Thank you. No, thank you. These are, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we could spend literally like every single day just talking about it. There's always something to share and think about. So thank you so much.
Well, I just want to thank you very much, Samantha, for your time and efforts and all the work you put in today. This was very, very interesting, and I really appreciate.
That's so
Uh,
kind of you, Dave. Thank you. No, I
thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
I
Amazing.
second that. We're very, very grateful. Thank you.
well, thank you. We had another seminar, and they didn't give us any practical stuff, and this is practical, which is important.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you so much. Yeah. And hopefully, if you have additional questions, please, please, please share them if you can ahead of time. And this way, when we talk again on Monday, if you're available, we can hone into what's most important. But